Hi, I'm Mike Rooney. This is part 2 of a 2-part series on painting glass, free art lesson. First one, what we did was we blocked it in. We've got the basic shape in, composition. We started laying in some colors, nice warm colors, cool colors. Now what we're going to do is we're going to finish this thing out. So what I've got here is I've got the background, I've got this shadow here, I've got the shadow on the glass, and they're not even really realistic. They're just realistic temperature-wise. I've got the values right. The darkest values right now are going to be these little reflections in the glass. Then you've got the second darkest is the shadow behind the glass. The third darkest value is this sheet where it turns down, or this cloth turns down. That's the third lightest value. And when we paint it all in now, when we start to color correct and finish it out, it'll look like this still life right here. So what I'm going to do, I always like to work dark to light. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to try to match this really gray green. It's a gray green and I want it to be that value right there. So what I'm going to do is scrape off my paint from my other session, and I'm going to put it right over here on the side, and I'm going to use it. You know, a lot of people are afraid to use paint. Don't be afraid to use paint, because you can use your scrapings in your next painting. So just save your grays. So I'm going to keep that gray right there, and I'm going to mix it until it matches this green that I see up here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to add green because it's in the green family. Then I'm going to add magenta because that's the exact opposite. That's its complement. Then I'm going to add a little bit of purple to darken it and keep it really, really bluish green. And I don't want to lose that blue-green coloring, so I just keep adding blue and green until I get what I want. It's already got gray in it, so I can just blue-green. Now this color is really important. This color is super important to get right because it's the lines on the glass, and you want to get them right. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put the darkest lines on first. Right across here. Right down the bottom. And what you want to do is copy the shape. Just make the brush make the shape. I'm doing it everywhere I see that color. I'm filling in a shape. It's really thin right across here. Alright, then there's a little bit up here in this rim where the threads on the rim are, and one on the outside. And you just, is that the darkest? That's the darkest. Okay, then I'm going to take a little gray from somewhere else. I'm going to lighten that up just a little bit. See the difference? It's a little bit lighter. It's not quite green enough. It's got a nice warm green. So I'm going to add Naples yellow to lighten it and yellow it some. I'm going to paint those reflections on around that green. So I'm going to paint that around there. This is somewhat on there. Everywhere I see this light green, this light grayish green, I'm going to paint a little stroke. I see some right here that's kind of in between, so I'm going to use these two piles to make this edge. Because in glass painting, all you're painting is the edges, because you're going to be able to see through it. And I'm going to show you a trick that'll make it look like glass. You don't leave this the same color as that. You darken it just a little bit from here, and it'll look just like glass. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to paint that edge right there. So it's a lighter green edge right along the top, and then a lot of these threads are that color green. So I'm going to put a bunch of threads in there that's light green. Now see how that thing's starting to take on a glass-like appearance? So I've got those in. Now I'm going to lighten this even more. It's getting really light and bluer. Always look at it and say, what's it doing? Is it getting lighter, greener, bluer, redder? What's it doing? It's getting lighter and bluer down here. And it is, let's see, I'm squinting, I'm looking for some more of that light blue. I see a lot of it right along this edge of the glass. Just paint the shapes you see. Basically, that's all you have to do is just paint the shapes you see, and don't get wound up about them. This is a little bit darker and bluer back here. And then there's a nice little highlight right in there. All right, so I basically got that. Now let's work on the back. Let's work on the shadow first. It's not quite purple enough. So I'm going to purple it up some towards the towards the glass. Make sure that I make it look like it's, now see, I like that little, I'm going to leave that little reflection right there because that looks like the water coming underneath. I mean the highlight coming underneath. Now this is a lighter and bluer. So you can use your mixtures, keep using your mixtures down here and make a little light blue line right through the middle of that shadow. And then it goes up here and it really gets wide up here. And it gets lighter and yellower. So I'm going to put a little yellow in it, a little Naples yellow, just because I see a little bit of yellow in it right there. And it's really bright right there. Okay. Then it cuts off right here. So when I do my background, I'm going to get rid of this right here, that little bit of extra. And that's the cool thing about underpainting is I can paint right over top of that. So let's go ahead and lay that in. Now we're done with that. We're going to keep this gray because I like that gray, and I might have to come back and use it again to do some more bottle, but I'm just about done with the bottle. I'm going to whip into the foreground and the background real quick and get that in, and then we'll be pretty much finished because all I got to do is put highlights on the bottle still and it'll look just like glass. So we're going to use a really big brush now because I'm going to really put some color down. I want to make that cream. It's kind of a grayish cream. So I've got yellow on here already, so I can use a little bit of purple to make that a little bit creamier, a little bit more like white. So I'm going to come in here and I'm going to make that cream. It's not really a cream, it's like a gray. Then I want this round. And see, when you use a big brush, you can one stroke it. So there, I've one stroked it. I basically got the background on. Now, this runs up into the bottle too. So I take that and run that right down. Because this is a distortion, but I see this color right in the glass. Okay. Now let's do this. That's down here too. So let's put some right here, like that. And now let's add purple. What do we got to add to that? Some purple to this to cool it down. Look, when I add that purple right on top of that, it just about matches. It's not so red anymore. It kind of looked orangey red or something. So what I'm doing, I'm just cooling it down, knocking it back a little bit. And now it looks more like the tabletop. Okay, let's put a little more of that cream. Just a nice little highlight right here. And then break the edge. We don't want to see that edge on there. We want that fold to be right there. Now let's do the background. What do we got to do the background? It's a little more like canvas color. So we're going to take a little bit of orange, add some purple to it, and see if we can't get that a little more canvas color. So what do we got to add to that? We got to add kind of a grayish orange to that. That's a little bit dark, but I'm going to go ahead and stroke that in there anyway because I want to knock it back just a little bit. All right, so there that, and then do the inside too. All right, and what do we got to do? We got this is too orange, so we're going to take some blue, add some blue, and it's kind of a grayish. See how it's grayed up? So when I stroke that gray blue over that, look how it gets rid of that orange look. Now it has its own color flavor. So I've got rid of that orange. I've kind of grayed up that orange some. And it looks more like canvas or something behind it. It's just a nice shape behind it. It was too warm. So this is the same color underneath here. Now what you do is you take this and you darken it down just a little bit. So I'm just going to darken it down and green it just a little bit. And when I darken it and green it just a little bit, look how it looks like glass. Just that little bit. Now I'll throw a highlight on there and we'll be finished. Now watch how this sets it off. You take that gray, take your gray and lighten it a whole bunch. And this has kind of a greenish tint to it. It's kind of a nice warm greenish tint. So I'm going to lighten up that And I'm going to put a little more yellow in it. And I'm going to one stroke it right across the rim of that glass. All right, now I'm going to take straight white. Let's see, I need a little orange here. I got a little bit of orange. I keep seeing a little bit of, I think it's some paint or something under the lid right there, but that really adds a little smack to it right there. Now I'm going to take white, straight white, and put a few highlights on it. And that's going to look like glass. There's a couple reflections down there that's real white. One here, and one right there, and one right along the bottom. Don't get crazy with these. If you do too many, you lose the whole effect. But anyway, look how that looks like a glass bottle. It needs a little bit of that gray green going down the back though. It's not quite dark enough right here. Let's add just a little bit of blue to it. All right, let's gray it up. And just make a few lines for the rim, and then let it be. What I want to do is I want to take this and break that line right there. Okay, there we go. Now that looks like a glass jar. Let's do one more thing. I keep backing up. I keep seeing stuff. That's a little bit dark right there. Maybe that's why it's not reading too good. Let me lighten this just a hair. And bring it over just a little bit and run that along the rim. And I think that's about it. I'm not trying to do a finished painting, just trying to show you how it's actually see-through and it looks like glass with some water in it. So I hope you've enjoyed this lesson. I hope it helps you paint glass. If you'd ever like to see more of my work, you can go to MikeRooneyStudios.blogspot.com.